Hey, welcome everyone. We are a couple minutes ahead of the curve here, so I just wanted to welcome everybody that's joining early. I'm gonna step out and we'll be right back and get going. Hey, it's the top of the hour. Okay, or it's the bottom of the hour this time. Usually the top of the hour. So we are still seeing people join. So I'm going to step out just for one more minute and let everybody join. Grab a cup of coffee. We're going to put a poll up actually, and go ahead and answer the poll. Introduce yourself on chat. Let us know who you are, where you're joining from, and we'll get started in about 1 minute. Hey, welcome everyone. Welcome to another Ecosystem Business Summit. I'm excited to welcome everybody, and gosh, we have a great program. So let's jump in. We have you should have already seen a poll. Love to hear about a little bit about your role at your company. So go ahead and answer the poll. And we have I think four. I'm not sure, Kevin. The number of attendees that we have registered is around close to 500 attendees, but just companies from every walk of technology life. So software companies, hardware companies, system integrators. Just a great list of attendees for this EBS this time. We have another poll coming up, so let's pop that poll up as well. We'd love to hear about the partner activities, the kind of partner activities that you manage. And so if you could share your thoughts on that poll, that would be fantastic. We are really proud of the fact that we have a lot of very senior folks, I think because of the quality of the content that we present and the speakers that we have at EBS. We always have VPs and directors and even C-level folks joining. So welcome everybody, and we'll get started. So a couple of housekeeping things. Add your photo if you would. Introduce yourself on chat. Ask questions. Go ahead. You can ask questions right in the comments. We'll keep track of the comments, and I'll pop in and ask our session speakers the questions that you have. Answer the polls, and everything. The whole event is all going to be taking place in the stage tab, so you can stick right there and see everything, add comments, and ask questions. I wanted to share a couple of really interesting three really interesting assets. We have the QR codes up there. You can just hit it with your phone. First of all is our revenue planning worksheet for cloud sales, for being cloud sales ready. And this thing is really cool. I shared it earlier this week on LinkedIn, and I think it got 6,000 views. And so it's really powerful. It's just a great, and Amit's going to show a little bit of visual of how it works. So download that and make sure that you have access to it to customize it for yourself. We also have a great document on co-sell partnering with cloud providers. Just a really interesting and valuable how-to guide, ultimate guide for partnering with cloud providers. And then finally, the Chief Partnership Officer report. We put this together with partnership leaders. Again, got just a great response. If you haven't seen it, make sure you download it, check it out, and it's three really valuable assets for partner folks. Okay, our agenda. We are going to start off with Amit's going to kick us off and talk about Amit Sinha, our president and co-founder of WorkSpan, is going to kick it off with talking an overview of the market and where things stand in terms of partnering and how to take advantage of partnerships both with cloud providers and your broader ecosystem. And then Jack Gray, really excited to hear from Jack. So Jack is head of Alliance Ecosystems at BCG, and Jack's going to be talking about building effective ecosystem strategy and really kind of taking a strategic view of how to work with your partners. And then Andy Rose. Andy is Director of Global Strategic Initiatives at AWS for AWS at Wipro. And Andy's going to be talking about some success, having success, Wipro success with working with top cloud providers. And then Stuart Francis is going to join us. Stuart is Director of Worldwide Cloud Partner GTM Programs with MongoDB. And Mongo actually was featured in Ruba Borno's keynote at reInvent with a big slide that said 5x the number of shared opportunities with AWS. Just an amazing success story. Puneet Mittal is going to be joining us, and he will be moderating. And Puneet is our CFO and COO. And then rounding it out with Masonia. Masonia Scott is head of partner integration engineering at AWS. And Masonia is going to be talking about some of the really interesting things that AWS is doing to make it easier and to take friction out of working with AWS to share opportunities, to manage private offers, and all of those kinds of capabilities to co-sell with AWS. Great program, and really excited to have everybody join us. Okay, Amit, I'm going to bring you in and kick it off with Amit, our president and co-founder.
Hey, Chip, thank you, and a warm welcome to the entire community here. As you guys know, we've been running this for, 6-7 years now, and it has become a real community of people coming in, sharing their best practices. You're going to hear from Jack at BCG, Masonia from AWS, Stuart from MongoDB, and Andy from Wipro. These are leaders, practitioners sharing with you peers in this session. I will kick this off, and it's really the moment in the ecosystem world today. Ecosystems are actually out there in action right now in a much better way than the previous decade. So let me dovetail into what I'm seeing from our vantage point. Number one, this is recognizing the economic climate that we are in. This is about profitable and efficient growth. And boy, it couldn't come on a right time. So if you think about the efficient growth mindset, what we are seeing is that there's capital and investment scarcity that's driving the fact that companies can co-innovate. People can focus on their core, but for accelerated customer needs and demands, they can actually partner much better. Co-innovation costs are lower than do it your own. Same thing we're seeing in marketing. If you think about defraying marketing costs in this environment, co-marketing is the best way to actually reduce your expenses in half and literally amplify twice the audience. And if you look at sales productivity, I talked to many CROs in conjunction with their ecosystem strategy and their partnering strategy. And co-selling, for example, has emerged as the under-recognized but a growth lever that has delivered. So if you see keynotes after keynotes, whether it's at key conferences, we see the partner contribution in terms of actual pipeline rise much faster than internal pipelines, for example. And even on the internal pipeline, the influence that partners are actually bringing in to close the deals faster and at a larger amount is phenomenal. So if you look at all these operational efficiency metrics and the productivity metrics and the revenue metrics that comes in, because you have a faster time to market with co-innovation, lower cost of marketing to get to the same audience because you're often sharing audiences, and lastly, in terms of selling, the sales productivity numbers with ecosystems and without ecosystems, there's night and day. So profitable, efficient growth, decade of ecosystems. The other big lever, as we are seeing, despite being in this economic climate, what we are seeing is the speed of change has not abated at all. In fact, it has become hyper fast. If you see what's happening with Gen AI, the tech stack has become deeper, and no company in themselves can really specialize at that layer. So you can't replace what an NVIDIA does, for example, unless you are, you have massive capital, for example, and massive time. You can't do what OpenAI and other companies in the AI space are doing at the speed at which they're doing it. So partnering is the only viable strategy here, right? So as the speed of innovation changes and the tech stack gets deeper and deeper, like we are seeing, the specialization becomes very important, and hence partnering becomes even more critical. So in the next decade, of all the applications that are coming out on the basis of these deep tech, whether it's embedding AI into our applications, it's completely changing into more of a co-innovation, co-sell world as opposed to do it yourself. And lastly, in response to this, there's this efficient need, there's this open opportunity with hyper innovation. What's the modern tech stack for partnering? I think this combination is working out. You have your CRM, you have tools like Workspan, and then you have marketplaces. And the idea here is, all the way from co-innovating and putting these listings in. I'll talk a little bit about that, doing co-sell automation, and then using the modern cloud marketplaces to transact. You have the full life cycle of a modern buying process, a modern process that actually, instead of being optimized at your company level, it's optimized at the ecosystem level, simplifying the buying process for the partner. So I think these three big trends is really what's shaping this decade of the ecosystem that we are seeing here. So warm welcome. That's my opening. And in contrast with what used to happen, if you think about how partnering teams were organized before, you have the company at the center of the universe. You had a team that's just looking at services partners, let's say, and optimizing that, bi-directional one-way partnership, however formats you have organized this in. You have separate, hyperscaler relationships. You have tech partnerships to fill the innovation gaps you may have. But it's centered and organized around company, and you may optimize one with tool one, you may optimize other with spreadsheets. You have all sorts of traditional partnering mechanisms that's going on. These are all one-off, and they're primarily organized around how can my company make more money, right? And off them or with them, right? But I think where we are headed, and this interdependency is really key, and some really amazing work from BCG in their thought leadership. I've mentioned the paper here, and I encourage, we'll post this link as well as we talk. This is really about the customer in the center. It's not about the company in the center. And this is the ecosystem focus that, and I really like what Masonia mentioned at AWS, that it's really the community at the end of the day, because the customer is included in the larger ecosystem that we are going after. And this includes hyperscaler partners. It includes tech partners, ISV partners, service partners. So it's a community of these partners that are coming together to influence, and serve this end customer. These customers demanding wants innovation at an unsatiable pace, and at a lower cost and lower risk, and people better align around this ecosystem strategy. So this is the world that we are headed towards, where because of the speed of change, we will be building with each other. So better build a muscle for co-innovation and put that innovation in a marketplace, for example, where people can actually discover these listings. They can find what's new out there. And borrowing the Amazon analogy, right? This is the endless aisle. And the reason why it's endless is that you can build and package a solution even meant for 100 customers. Because you can, if you reach those 100 customers profitably, you can make that process repeatable, that sales process repeatable. And of course, it works brilliantly for the software that scales to tens and thousands of companies. And now you have this process on the innovation side. Companies need to figure out how their sales teams work, across company boundaries in a more seamless way. It's no longer my deal and your deal. It's basically co-selling together. And our whole language and our whole measurement methodology as a result is going to change. We're going to talk about this in a second. But how do you align two companies to sell together? And then it's not just about selling, it's about consumption, because we live in a cloud world. And how quickly can we deploy with predictability, with consumption being the key piece, but also the ease of transactions, the frictionless process that's introduced. And I think as an ecosystem strategy, compare and contrast this. This is far more dynamic, far more innovative, far more speed of transactions in frictionless in driving that. So if your company is orchestrating and moving in this direction, I think one of the key things that it needs is a chief partner officer. Because if we look at the larger landscape, it's not about optimizing any one of these routes to market. It's about optimizing all routes to market focused on the end customer. And um, Jack has, of course, talked a lot about this at BCG. Greg Sarafin at EY, for example, thinks about this as value optimization for the end customer market that you're going after. Are you orchestrating, a service that actually solves a specific customer problem? And in that organization, you are orchestrating a network. And companies that don't take this, they will get further behind in the value chain and reduce their margins overall. So the rise of the chief partner officer, and we share this with partnership leaders, Asher Matthews and team here, to really lift the team and the profession up, to be more accountable, more visible, more, having the right mandate as a company. And when you have the right mandate as a company, the research shows that, especially from EY, it shows that you have 2.1x more revenue than companies that are not ecosystem organized. And at the same time, you have 1.5x lower costs. So you're competing against a 4x differential. If a competitor of yours has an ecosystem strategy, for example, we'll talk MongoDB, they're growing at 5x with AWS. Same thing with Wipro. Andy will talk about this. The growth rates are faster because they have an ecosystem strategy. And if you don't, likely going to be left behind. So I think the rise of the chief partner officer as a role, as an empowered function in the company to hold the team, hold the budget, deliver on business growth, is the next decade that we are seeing. This will happen, and there are already great exemplars in the industry. So from Carl Farbach at SAP to Greg Sarafin to Jack, who's going to come in and talk about this, to leaders across companies like Cisco, AWS, Microsoft. We see this, and even in younger companies, we see next to the hiring of the head of sales, we see the hiring of the ecosystem team. Now, if you look at the overall customer in the center, what's really interesting about this center is that this center and how it buys is changing. And we are watching this change in front of our eyes. We saw this as individual consumers when Amazon came along and all of us got Amazon Prime memberships and started buying, and that became the new way to buy things, right? And we have this millennial buyer now already in the house in terms of line of business buying, and in the next 10 years you get every single business function procuring from the marketplace. And the reason is very, very simple. It's a faster discovery of solutions, more innovative ones, earlier discovery, quick try, buy by the SIP and stuff like that, that eases the friction in actually buying processes. And also, if you think about, closing transactions towards the end of the quarter, there's a lot of friction that gets eliminated. So I think there is this new point of sale that has emerged with marketplaces, and it's much more aligned to the center persona in our ecosystem, which is the customer. Customer is king. This this buying behavior has changed. So we as companies in the B2B space need to adapt. And I think marketplaces offer that solution. AWS and even Microsoft and Google and SAP and Cisco, they're all headed in the marketplace direction in a very, very aggressive way. And as a result, this lower friction process, let's look at our ecosystems and how it's our organized, how we organize our stack, how do we retool our companies to take advantage of this thing. With that in mind, Workspan stepped up earlier last year, actually, and looked at our overall ecosystem offering and created a unique offering that added marketplace accelerator into it. And we call this end-to-end offering the Workspan Hyperscaler Edition. So what it takes is the already established Workspan capabilities like partner planning and doing joint business goals and metrics, but then adds the ability to do additional things, such as ability to manage marketplace listings. So you can now list new offerings on marketplace with our help. We streamline that process completely. Co-sell automation was already there. We just as marketing automation and sales automation before, now we have co-sell automation where we connect to your CRM on the left-hand side, but also to the hyperscaler co-sell, interfaces, whether it's AWS ACE, Microsoft Partner Center, Google Partner Advantage. We have that co-sell process already connected. And now imagine from the comfort of your own CRM, thanks to amazing APIs made available, we have the ability to actually transact that offer on the marketplace as well. So this is private offer transactions, and this takes the end-to-end co-innovation, co-sell, and transactions lifecycle in one full swoop. So very, very powerful new stack has emerged, and we're pretty excited about this. And what are some results that we are seeing? This is an example from AWS with a sample customer. What we see is before automation, it's manual and far below the potential of the company because one or two people are doing it. But the moment you get automation connection from CRM, boom, the initial partner originated referrals go up, right? And with those referrals going up, and automatic updates happening from CRM, it starts to create a reputation with these hyperscalers on which deals you're actually influencing and closing, and that creates the mind share. And that mind share actually starts to lift the hyperscaler originated, or in the case of AWS, in this case, AOs into the picture. So now you have AOs coming in, and AOs are actually gravitating towards a very nice ratio where there's balance between partner originated and AWS originated ones. So this is very, very powerful, and this is the need. Like I often hear companies say, "Hey, we are not at the volume at which we need this automation." My case to you guys is get the automation, you get volume because of it. It's not because you get the volume and then you need the automation. So this is a very interesting thing because we're living in a dynamic ecosystem with the gives and gets. The automation actually enables the scale as opposed to scale needing automation, which is a very interesting thought process. And as a result of this automation and this impact, there is rigor coming into the ecosystem teams. The chief partner officers are able to now stand before their boards and talk in actual numbers. Instead of being squishy influence metrics and partnering, the language has completely changed. We're talking about inbound referrals and improvement in win rates. So how much the pipeline grew because of these inbound sourced referrals. And on the outbound one, we are talking about win rates because we brought in the partner influence, or the deal size expansions because we brought the partner influence. So very quantified. And because we've been working with business teams, earlier our team worked with AWS to create a revenue planning worksheet. And this revenue planning worksheet is very powerful. So if you're discussing your next year's cloud strategy, you're becoming cloud sales ready, if you will, with the strategy we talked about around listings, co-sell, and private offers. The idea is very simple. You need to know where you're going and how do you measure your success along the way, right? So Workspan has created a very nice planning worksheet here. The QR code is up there. have this discussion with your sales team, have this discussion with your partner development manager, put in the business assumptions in terms of inbound and outbound, put in your assumptions in terms of deal size, and you will see the revenue planning and the growth that you do in a very automated way. And I think this will be very, very powerful for you guys to download and use it for your next year planning, and even strategic collaboration agreements and things like that. As you approach the joint business together, let's get data driven. Let's have the intellectual rigor of partnering, that we can then act and talk credibly in front of other lines of business, especially sales and product teams that are making these joint co-innovation investments, that they can justify those investments, and the sales process actually helps you grow revenue in a predictable way. So with that, there are already some companies that are doing this is in a great way. We wanted to recognize companies that are doing it, and especially individuals and partnerships that are doing this really well today. So we're creating a new Oscar Awards of our own. We call this Co-Stars of Co-Sell. The reason why it's Co-Stars is because it's got two sides to it. It's you and your partner, so it's always together. And Co-Sell is the business process that we're automating here. So 2024 nominees, very excited to say, and these nominees are on the basis of their economic performance, their performance with regard to actually growing a partnership from level A to level B. And very excited to call out these nominees: Nasuni, PagerDuty, Genesys, DeepWatch, Seek, and MongoDB. Over the next couple of months, what we're going to do is bring out the joint partnership. How did they do the partnership? How did they do the revenue plan? What kinds of results did they achieve? And what were the strategies that went behind in actually getting these results achieved? And we'll take both perspectives, actually. I'm very excited about this series because it will give you the partner perspective on both sides. Unlike a case study, which is usually one-sided, this will talk about the interdependent case study here. So awesome. With that, thank you for this time. I know I'm a little bit over, but Chip, back to you.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you, Amit, for setting the stage with and sharing some amazing stats. And by the way, make sure that you click on that and download put your own numbers in there to plan to do your own planning with cloud providers. So, okay, with that, I'm going to share a quick video that comes from AWS about the partnership with BCG before we bring Jack in.
The partners ecosystem at AWS is super important to us because we're customer obsessed. AWS has created the largest cloud platform that has been adopted so far, and we really rely on our partners to develop their innovations on top of that so they can really address the customer's needs, whether it be products or services. The biggest challenge that I'm seeing from customers is that they want a holistic business transformation, and that can't be done in piecemeal. So that can't be done by one part of the tech stack or one strategy project. That actually has to be done holistically. So you have to look at the strategy, you have to look at the people, the process, the platform. All of it has to work in concert together to really affect a proper business model transformation. And I think for that reason, when AWS partners with BCG, this is when we get the breakthroughs. BCG comes with this legacy of amazing strategic 360-degree thinking around how do you take strategy and implement it. And then now you layer on top of that BCG X, which has all this new capability around deep build technology expertise, artificial intelligence and machine learning, and deep analytics. And then underneath that, we have AWS supporting with cloud technologies and cloud services that we provide and the ongoing innovation that you've plugged into already with BCG X. When clients are working with BCG X and AWS together, they should expect a seamless experience. BCGX will do a great job of integrating in not only AWS, but other partners that are involved in delivering a holistic solution. There'll be one kickoff. We'll work together to make sure that there's training for the right people, that the solutions are innovative and jointly developed also with the customer. So we're going to continue to transform organizations. One example where we've worked together very well is to help a global pharmaceutical manufacturer reduce their production variability by a large amount through an advanced analytics platform that we built together on top of AWS. BCG and AWS together will continue to help our customers achieve competitive advantage through unlocking new insights and really facilitating business transformation. And with the advent of BCGX, this is only going to accelerate further into the future.
Fantastic. Oh, Jack, where we lost you there? Oh, Jack was there, and we just lost Jack.
No worries, he's going to come back. Why don't we introduce Jack while he logs back in?
Yeah, I will. Oh, there's Jack. Okay. Hey, Jack.
Hey guys. That means I got kicked out when you switched over there.
Welcome back.
Awesome to have you, Jack. And we got a preview. Actually, you were in the video as well. So look, I'm going to leave it to you guys and take it away.
Yeah, what a privilege to welcome Jack to this event. Jack has over 20 years experience in the tech industry, leads BCG's strategic partner ecosystem and programs there. I've seen him excel in really advising and crafting business strategies for alliance relationships, not only for himself, but in advisory capacity to his clients and optimizing their larger value networks, if you will. And it's not just the larger ecosystem strategy, but he and his team have been helping with business opportunities, commercial models, deals, and ensuring partnering success all around. So Jack, we see your success all around. We just played a video from AWS and BCG partnership. Julia Chen, who was previously on this show a couple of episodes back, is a key proponent of this collaborative innovation and co-selling process, as you know. So warm welcome, Jack. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Great to be here. And yeah, I love that video. It was such a great example of how we collaborate not only with AWS but how we run our program. And yeah, thank you for having me. I love that you're bringing this community together, and thank you to everyone who advances and evolves our line of work. It's great to be here with you.
Jack, so that's on the professional side. On the, can you tell us something about you that few people know?
That's always a dangerous proposition, but sure. Something that I always go back to is this notion of being born and raised in Alaska. And I still think that's a fairly small population of folks that can say that. And growing up there, you have a unique set of experiences that have shaped me and still are a big part of who I am today. But if you catch me in the off season, one of the things I love to talk about was still to this day one of my favorite jobs in the summer, which was working for a major cruise company as a first mate on the Inside Passage. Just again, one of the best experiences I've ever had, and one of those things I wish I could go back to time and again.
Fantastic. So I'm planning an Alaska trip. I'm sure going to ask for some advice on what to do there. Now, I've been following the BCG thought leadership around ecosystems for a while. You have a tremendous body of work. Our team will post the link on your entire ecosystem thought leadership. You've kind of explored up and down on the strategy in terms of how does it help you with resilience? How does it help you be successful at it? How does it avoid failures? But, I'm very interested in hearing about your perspective on this research and how do you think about this?
Yeah, I think there's a lot there. I love the comment earlier in your session on it about this notion, or I think generally agreement about clients at the center. And I would say that has always been a core of how we shape our strategy, our tactics, and ultimately drive the outcomes around our partnerships as well. But of course, BCG is known for our extensive research, and we're super close to that. The teams that develop that and often are contributing to it as well as you mentioned sort of the work that we do on how we advise clients on how to work with ecosystems and why ecosystems are important. And the fact that ecosystems are really more of an essential element that they probably ever have been at any time in the past. Probably a very familiar reference point for folks on this call, but worth just acknowledging that these are an essential element. Many of the conversations I'm having across our team support that notion, and this idea that developing ecosystems and building successful partnerships is now a core enterprise competency. Again, not something nice to have. I think with today's sort of geopolitical, economic, and other challenges that we face, as I look through our research and the conversations that we're having and the kinds of work that we're doing, and even how we're engaging our ecosystem, it seems fairly consistent that even during these uncertain times, building ecosystems and the resilience and the unlock of new opportunities, as well as competitive advantage that comes along with that, advantages those who do that, and they will come out ahead. And that's consistent whether we're looking at technology or other industries. We're doing work across consumer, oil and gas, energy, industrial goods, and of course technology, and that's a consistent theme. I think it's even reinforced with some research I was looking through last year, or even years past, as we were designing what we were doing and pointing in the right direction. I think back in 2021, IDC did some research that suggested by 2023, 90% of enterprises would be looking at partnerships in some form or fashion. And I think that really gets to the notion of the BCG of today looks very, very different than it did 5 to 7, even 10 years ago, certainly. And capabilities that Julia mentioned, whether it's X or TDA or technology and digital advantage teams, enable us to really look at across our partner ecosystem, excel at the advantages that provides us and the insights that comes along with it, and serve clients in ways that they expect, and certainly in some cases never imagined that BCG would do so. And I look at our core team charter as a partnerships team across BCG, making it easy, efficient, effective, and safe for BCG to work with third parties, regardless of where they're coming from. So it was a bit of a long-winded answer, but hopefully I got to your point there that you were looking for.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. And I think I just asked our team to post a link of this research. Definitely consume it. I'm a voracious reader for that. Now, let's apply this back to BCG, right? You mentioned a little bit in your answer there, but can you elaborate a little bit on how you, as a leader for the ecosystem team at BCG, how do you apply this learning to yourself?
Yeah, well, I think and I think maybe we have a question here coming down too a little bit, but for us, I really look at this notion of building a diverse set of value exchanges across our teams as arguably the most important thing that we do every day. And in a diversity of value exchange for us really comes down to 4 things. We will, of course, commercially collaborate with our partners in our ecosystem. We will build new offerings. And then beyond that, how do we round that out to really make sure that the strategy and tactics and outcomes we're driving are mutually reinforced across our program? We spend a lot of time on talent development, making sure that we can retain, acquire, and grow our tech and digital talent around these relationships, if we're talking about the tech industry in particular, and then brand building with these companies, right? It's incredibly important for us to be thoughtful about how, when, and where we show up in the market around certain topics and opportunities. And so that diversity of value exchange drives how we organize our team and how we execute with our partnerships.
Fantastic. Now, if I look at your success rate, your team success rate, executing these large partnerships, for example, with AWS and with SAP, and I see each and every partnership that you've done, tremendous success there. But at the same time, there's an elephant in the room, if you will. Partnerships do fail. There's stats out there that say 60% of all partnerships will fail as they don't connect strategy to execution. What can we talk about what your learnings in this space is? Why do partnerships fail?
Wow, it is the elephant in the room, oftentimes. And I would say, a lot of the research that BCG has done even suggests that it's a much higher percentage of partnerships that fail. But certainly 60 is not a good number, but it's a realistic number. But I think our research suggests that even upwards of 85% of partner ecosystem efforts fail. And when you just looking at the hard dollars at risk there, it's billions in lost investments, certainly.
Yeah.
So it's an expensive, it's an expensive endeavor. It takes a long time to get partnerships right, to find the right ones and then operate them. And yeah, 85% of them fail. And actually, as I was going on our journey at BCG five plus years ago, I kept that research constantly at my side to make sure that we were reminding ourselves and our teams that, in fact, if we are going to succeed, we will be the exception, right? And so we need to be exceptional to make sure that we're not that exception. But I think that often the failure comes down to a few reasons, including things like configuration and design, maybe an inefficient market opportunity and alignment to it, or both. Governance challenges. Let's see, bad execution can be simply, a result, a reason for failing. But it seems to me, both in my personal experience, personal and professional experience, as well as our research, that the majority of those fail due to weakness in the design and execution. So, yeah.
So essentially the advice is look for steady design of the ecosystem itself, that there's enough economic opportunity and you've designed the ecosystem architecture in the right way. And then making sure that the strategy is connected to execution in empowered ways that actually drive success to this. And how important is measurability to something like this? So if you don't measure, you don't even know it failed, right?
Yeah, well, you can't improve what you don't measure, I always say, and I'm sure that's not my saying. I picked it up somewhere along my journey. Or the other one that is popular is people respect what you inspect, right? And I think that if you can't put measurement on the things you're doing, you're probably, you're going to have trouble at some point because somebody will ask, right? Especially as you look to grow and scale something within any organization, you have to be able to point to the results. For us, we look at around that diversity of value exchange. It enables us to report on a number of things that are important to us and mutually reinforcing. And then we can also look at, what are the inbound investments from our partner ecosystem that are enabling BCG, for example, on the talent side, to really, outpace and bring insights and opportunities to our clients through those relationships that we wouldn't have had access to otherwise.
Fantastic. Now, we've also seen ecosystems actually approach benefit some of the unsolvable or hard problems that we see, or the biggest opportunities and challenges we as a society or we as an industry face. So what are some challenges and opportunities where you feel like you have or BCG has applied itself really well?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think how much time do we have left? Because we could spend a long time on this one.
Right.
I think it's this notion of creating diverse value exchanges and broadening capabilities as well as opportunities through and with them is core. And we talk often about sort of the client expectations are driving a lot of the evolution, and even just this notion of why we build a partner ecosystem in the first place. Clients expect something different today. You hit on it in your session, and we see it every single day. It's not enough to be just the leader in people and process transformation. We need to bring those platforms in, or the technology partnerships, in order to combine that with the process and the people and strategy transformation that all of our clients are expecting. And so that has been a key for us. It's how we organize our team, and it's how we engage our partners in our ecosystem. But that's really at the core.
Yeah, Jack, can you take one or two examples for us? Like what are some good examples in your experience here?
Yeah, well, I think Julia referenced one. We're working with a global pharma company. We publicly available references if you go to bcg.com, or work with another major automotive manufacturer. But also you can look at releases we've done over time with offering development with Microsoft, with Google, and others. And I think those are really, really tangible examples. BCG tends to be fairly reserved about how we talk about the work that we're doing with clients. That's in good measure, but I think more and more you're seeing the public reference of or out in the public domain, the things that we're doing around all of those elements. Probably less so on the talent development side. That's a lot less interesting for folks, but certainly around our commercial collaboration, our brand building opportunities, which are the manifestation of that, and then more importantly, or equally importantly, some of the work we're doing around offering development, bringing innovation and insights to our clients that we may not have if we didn't have these relationships with leading companies in the technology and services
Absolutely.
space.
Really a big fan of the initiatives that you've driven in the sustainability space through partnerships, and also in the AI space with partnerships. So kudos and our congrats.
Thank you.
And
Thank
I
you.
want to invite people to you posted questions here. While you take time to post these questions, I just want to ask one last thing, Jack, of you. What advice would you have to aspiring partnership leaders as they're exploring either this career opportunity or actually rising within the partnering profession as well?
Wow. Well, one, I would say stay interested. Well, let me take a step back from that. Actually, I think it'd be somewhat cliche to say, be bold, take chances, experiment, fail fast. I think those are all relatively, table stakes items at this point in today's world. I think I'd probably focus on four core things here. I'll touch on these just briefly, and happy to take Q&A about these as well, given my experiences in this space. And by the way, it's amazing to see. I'm looking through the chat while you were presenting too, and there's just so many friends and former colleagues in this audience today. I'm sure many of you share these experiences, so I'm looking forward to actually reconnecting with many of you here. But I think first and foremost, get into it for the right reasons. Those who have been in this line of work for any length of time have thick skin, scars, and probably exercise more patience than we care to admit on any given day. But wake up with that excitement of the diversity of opportunities and audiences that you get to engage every single day. That's got to be at the core. I'd say commit to the cause. Good partnerships are hard to find, and they're hard to operate consistently and at scale. Have a solid vision and a mission, and inspire others that want to join you on that journey. Work for great people that enable and inspire you to bring into your best. Put yourself in the other person's chair more often than you think. I think empathy goes a long way towards building good relationships that stand the test of time and challenging times. And then last but not least, I tell this to my team as much as I possibly can, and I try to live it too. Work on the business as much as you do in it. Pick your head up, look around, make sure you're going in the right direction, take measure in the things that are happening and the people around you, and be comfortable with course correction.
Awesome. Chip, I want to bring you back in. Can we curate the questions from the community, and let's pose it to Jack?
Yeah, I had a great question here from Patrick Svenberg. How long does it realistically take to create a successful technology partnership in the tech space? How much runway should we have? Interesting.
Oh boy. Well, there's a lot of, are we taking questions right now?
Yeah.
I would say there's a lot of variables, but in general, I think in order to set the direction, the tone, and the pace of what you want to see, it depends on what you call success in your ecosystem. You may not share the same metrics we do, but I would say it's going to, if you're not investing for 2 to 3 years in that window of time to see the kind of scaled results you're looking for, you're probably underestimating. That's my take on it. It can take longer, but I think that's a good sort of average window.
Great. Another good question here from Debika Sharma. What does great ecosystem design look like for early stage technology companies? It's a good one.
Wow, that is a great one. Well, there's 1,000 ways to answer that question, but my theory about that is if you're standing up something new in a brand new organization, deliver incredible and immense value in short, medium, and long-term sprints, so that when you go back and ask for headcount growth or investment, the response is usually, why haven't you asked me sooner, versus, are you sure you need that? And that's a sort of, almost cliche thing to say, but I do think that focusing small, keep your core really tight, build an incredible culture in your team that is focused on results-driven outcomes, and you could build a clear vision around what success looks like, execute relentlessly, and then move on.
Awesome. Great answer. And the last one actually isn't a question, but a comment. So this was Sean Taylor posted on LinkedIn and said, great 4 points. Thanks for netting those out. So.
Oh, thank you.
There are a few more that we didn't get to. Chip, do you want to ask one last one, or should we post that in a blog?
Well, we could do one last one. Here is from Ace. Ace Thrombly. Hi, Jack. There are so many directions that partner ecosystems can focus on for innovation and scale, Gen AI, marketplaces, etc. Where should partners prioritize investing time?
Ooh, can you give me that? I want to make sure I heard all of that right. Can you give me that real quick, Chip?
So many directions around ecosystems for innovation and scale. He uses these examples, Gen AI and marketplaces. Where should partners invest time and prioritize?
Given the current macro, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. I'd probably orient towards a more practical sort of response there outside of the current economic conditions. And I think these probably hold true whether it's good or bad times. But there's three things I always say have to be in place when you're establishing a partnership if it's going to be successful. One, you have to be working with the right company. That can come down to a matter of topical opportunity, market presence, geopolitical risk, financial risk, opportunity. All kinds of things go into making the right company for whoever you are, or whatever firm you're running. Second is you have to know what makes you great together, or at least have a pretty good sense of what that looks like and how you can execute against it. And you have to have the right people around that to be able to form and shape and execute it. And then last but not least, make sure you have a clear home for that relationship. There's not a single partnership that we establish that doesn't have a core sort of center of the universe in a practice area or in a part of BCG that owns and operates that alongside with us. And I think those are, again, whether it's good times or bad, if those three things are in place, you've got the right people around it, you're going to be successful. Whether it's an AI topic, whether it's a workforce productivity topic, cybersecurity, cloud transformation, take your pick. I think those are foundational elements.
Awesome, Jack. Thank you so much for spending time with us and the community and graciously answering the questions. We will likely have you back in about a year's time to see how the ecosystem progress is going at BCG. So stay tuned. With that, Chip, back to the regular agenda. Thank you, Jack, again.
Yeah, thank you, Jack, and thank you, Amit. And so we're going to move on to our next. And before we bring Andy and Nirav in, I'm going to play a quick 2-minute video of some customers. So thank you again, Jack.
Have to enable our frontline sellers. That co-sells a natural motion. And so WorkSpan as a solution is really important for us to do that. Without WorkSpan, right, we're either building our own set of tools. We don't want to do that. And then secondly, we don't want to go hire, a huge deal desk, right, to manage this. It has to be part of how we, go to market through our channels and through our frontline sellers. Without solutions like WorkSpan, that feels quite impossible for us because everything's manual.
The power of partnership is unbelievable. That's the value you can create with partners, shared capital, shared go-to-market, shared client relationships. You can really, really unlock value quickly, and it shows up as growth. Yeah. That's ultimately how it shows up on the balance sheet.
What somebody needs to do is to go into WorkSpan and pull the report or look at a sales view, a sales plan view, and just consume the data. Really quickly discern. Are we aligned on these opportunities that need to close this quarter? Are there discrepancies? If there are, go and action on those.
The obvious is how much business have we closed together? What does our pipeline look like? Those are, as old as it gets in enterprise software. Sources of the revenue, who brought the opportunity to the table? Was it Wipro? Was it the technology vendor? I'm happy to say that on that front, we're working closely with WorkSpan, and we've enabled with you guys bi-directional pipeline sync and lead sharing, which has actually begun to bear fruit as well. So those are table stakes.
Okay, Andy, we started with your boss. No pressure. Welcome, Andy and Nirav, and I am going to turn it over to you guys. And Nirav, let you introduce Andy.
Absolutely, Chip. Thanks so much. And what fascinating sessions between Amit and Jack, and his presentation earlier as well. Andy, such a delight to have you here and representing Wipro. Wipro, as everybody knows, $11 billion consulting and SI powerhouse to 50,000 employees across the globe, and scaling its business through partner ecosystems, right? It's one of the stories there. As she was mentioning in our private chat earlier, it's a strategy and focus led by Wipro's chairman himself, and Andy is one of the key executives, executing that strategy, working very closely with the hyperscalers and other set of partners. Seasoned professional, 25 years of experience, sales, consulting, partnering, bringing it all together. And then in the last decade, I would say very dedicated to the hyperscalers, specifically Amazon W and Amazon Web Services. Proven track record in launching innovative solutions, scaling businesses, scaling revenues, and really being a change agent at Wipro. Before that, working with likes of Deloitte and many other companies as well. Currently, she's focused on building and enhancing companies' cloud capabilities. And as I mentioned, they are using the cloud to scale up their business, but more importantly, for the benefit of customers. Andy, anything that you would love to add to this? Short intro, didn't want to embarrass you with so many accolades, but tell us something more that we don't know, or what the audience doesn't know.
I would say my passion is really customer focused. I've been very fortunate in my career to do a lot of firsts with customers. And, when you talk about cultural alignment, how we think about our partnerships is both cultural and technology. Wipro uses the 5 habits, as does AWS and Amazon. And for me, one of those is building trust. And, cloud and doing new things is very scary for customers. There's a lot of risk. Many times critical outcomes are on the line, and cloud solves for those. And as we go through and talk a little more, Nirav, I'll give you some examples. But for me, my passion is helping our customers be successful, building those partnerships. I've been doing technology for a very long time, and I still have customers that call me and they'll hear about something and they'll say, tell me about this. We feel like we need to do this. Help me understand it and help me unwind it. And those are the things for me personally that make this much more than a job. It really is about building lifetime relationships and putting the customer at the heart of everything that we do collectively.
Yeah, no, so well said, right? I think, to my mind, ecosystem executives and professionals are real-time orchestrators, bringing different pieces of the organization, of your partners together to, create value for your end customers. And, you've been a shining light doing that. So thank you. Tell us about your hyperscaler business and partnerships today. I know it's a multi-billion-dollar business at Wipro, and then growing non-linearly as well. It's kind of the growth agent for Wipro. A lot of other things that you do kind of tie in very well with what you do with AWS or Microsoft or Google. Tell us about your current state of business, how you are scaling, how you are really orchestrating both the strategy and then executing it with your partners and your internal organization.
Thanks, Nirav. Wipro's cloud business, especially with AWS and the other hyperscalers, is growing. This year, we launched many new offerings and announced strategic agreements with AWS at reInvent, as an example. The thing that I'm very excited about is Wipro is investing heavily in cloud and Gen AI. We've made multi-billion-dollar investments in both cloud and Gen AI. And one of the outcomes, early focus areas, is that we're training all 250,000 plus employees on Gen AI. We're incorporating Gen AI into our business, how we work internally, and also how we serve our customers. Our vision is to be the partner of choice for our clients. And we do this through leading with business solutions that drive outcomes and value for our clients. And it's really all about helping them address what we call their signature issues. When we think about industry cloud, I don't think of industry cloud as a box of Legos that's built for, this industry or that industry. I think it's about working backwards from the customer and understanding, it's an old cliche, but what's keeping them up at night, and how can we pull from a large ecosystem to solve those problems and objectives and bring them value. Partnerships at Wipro are one of the core pillars of our business strategy. We have a 360-degree relationship, and actually the way that our organization is structured promotes collaboration across more than 100 partners. We also have 4 new global business lines, and the way that they work with customers, all the way from consulting to engineering to very specific technical offering areas, cybersecurity, sustainability. We bring all of those together, and we really start with a common set of cultural values and driving common business objectives and putting our customer at the heart of everything that we do. Our vision is to bring a simplified model to engage with Wipro that focuses on the customer outcomes. In 2024, we're going to be really focusing and increasing our partner co-sell and co-innovation motions with AWS as an example. We're going to leverage Lab 45 and our AWS Launchpad innovation centers around the world to help our customers explore the art of the possible, especially as it relates to Gen AI. There's a lot going on. Gen AI is the part of every topic. Every breakout session at reInvent had a component of Gen AI. And then we want to be able to rapidly move these accelerators, the solutions and the services into marketplace. So helping our customers accomplish their goals, but then also move our offerings so that they can consume them.
Oh, that's amazing. And, you just mentioned that. So let me dig a little bit deeper into that. Marketplaces, especially the hyperscaler or cloud marketplaces, is a new route to market, especially for consulting firms and GSIs like yourself. ISVs have been doing that for a while. Amazon or Google or Microsoft have been offering that as a route to market for ISVs for quite some time. But, this is a new muscle for a lot of SIs and GSIs. In fact, Amazon just yesterday launched a marketplace where they can, bundle up service offerings, and then you can sell that to the market as well. So a completely new route to market, but a huge potential as well. It's a huge potential for billions of unused cloud commits that your end customers have. How is Wipro tapping into this? What's your marketplace strategy? Tell us more about that.
So thank you. I think, first of all, when we talk about a marketplace strategy, we like to think about meeting our customers where they are. And marketplace is going to enable Wipro to meet our clients and their expectations, how they want and need to buy in a dynamic macroeconomic environment, a technology environment that is literally moving at the speed of light, and then also deploy new routes to market for Wipro. If you look across the 4 global business lines, as I talked about earlier, Nirav, Engineering Edge as an example, they are not only developing Wipro accelerators, solutions, and service offerings, they're helping our customers develop IP. Right. And so how do you take those things and get them into a consumable model very quickly? We think is going to be addressed largely by a marketplace. As our portfolio offerings continue to grow, and they're growing exponentially every day, marketplace is a source of ancillary revenue. And quite frankly, in many instances, it's providing new points of entry for expanding our client relationships. We have wonderful, global account executives who maintain the relationships. The reality is that everyone at Wipro is selling into our customers in some fashion or another, and we want to be able to enable those. And I loved the comments that we had earlier with Jack and some of the questions like, how do you decide, prioritize the great thing with Marketplace is that we can launch an offering and then we can go back and use market insights, data, and analytics to understand how those offerings are performing, how they're resonating with clients. Do we need to shape and shift them slightly? Because of cloud, you can fail fast, you can iterate very quickly. And so we don't think for a second that Marketplace is going to become a very stale and stagnant and a single way of doing things. We're going to deliver very multi-channel experiences through Marketplace with our customers. We're going to give them different consumables that they can connect together, if they need to solve larger problems, and if they just need to really execute on something very quickly that helps them meet a commitment, as an example. They can do that through Marketplace. We can incorporate many offerings into Marketplace and help our customers have a very easy place to go to understand how we can help them, what's available, and really help them drive transformation across many parts of the Wipro portfolio. We're also very excited about using data and Gen AI to help us explore where our customers have gaps that Marketplace can fill. So we're planning to not just build a very tactical presence with Marketplace. We're planning to use it to be very proactive and bring ancillary value to our customers. We're going to partner with WorkSpan to take the guesswork out of how we work together, and we're going to try to do it across our entire partner ecosystem. Lots of partners coming together that may have traditionally been competitive or done things in silos. We really want to build the one Wipro message and then use Marketplace as a way to bring everything together again, working backwards from our customers, help them solve.
No, that's amazing. That's amazing, right? It's speed to market for you. It's value to you and your partners that you're stitching together, and then it's benefit to the customer as well. It's modern procurement. You kind of sell faster versus 6 to 9 months of sales cycle, and then get down to value delivery and execution and monitoring as well. Fairly quickly, right? So it's a win-win-win for everybody. And I'm particularly very excited to see, what the art of the possible here. We've just kind of dipped our feet in the water now. So looking forward to that. Any good examples that you may have, early examples that you're seeing? And I think there's one more question that I want to pick up from the chat that's come in as well. How are you working with the ISVs to create solutions and packages through the CPPO program? And then, are you able to sell those as well?
We are. And when I was talking about the ecosystem, and you heard Jason Eichenholz talk about, the breadth of our partnerships, that is really one of the top opportunities. We have over 100 partners. Many of them are ISV and builder partners, and we're putting together many tri-party offerings because the reality is that our customers are working with almost every single partner in our ecosystem. They're working with hyperscalers. And what we're doing is bringing those things together to make it easier for the customers to consume. They don't have to go out and negotiate all these individual contractual agreements with, the different parties and, try to figure out what commitments can I make over here. We're going to try to bring that all together for our customers in Marketplace. And we're in the process of building very industry-focused solutions. As an example, we've had a lot of conversations with FICO around the potential to launch something very interesting there. Our traditional partners like Palo Alto, every client in a space works with Palo Alto in some manner. And we want to just, again, bring that value component back to, can we transact things through Marketplace that will help our customers, meet their commitments, have everything at their fingertips, and then most importantly, put us in a position where we can really co-innovate together, co-sell and co-innovation. We don't have everything predefined. We're going to, get into Lab 45 or a launch pad with several partners and different personas from a customer and design what we think is going to best help them meet their objectives.
Wow! Such a great strategy, and then executing it as well. But this must be very complex, Andy, right? Co-innovating with multiple partners, then trying to take it to the market, selling it, and then kind of driving, measuring, monitoring, and then kind of having that feedback loop to focus on things that are working versus not working. Tell us about some of the opportunities and challenges that you are seeing today, and then how does what are the processes that you're putting to make this happen, and then how does a technology like Workspan, which is a digital core to a lot of these motions, how is that helping you, or how will that help you as you kind of roll this out, or as you are orchestrating this?
I think the biggest opportunity, Nirav, for us is to really understand the nuances around how customers want to make decisions, and also understanding how we bring complementary offerings from Wipro together. You know, consulting and featuring is where a lot of our thought leadership practices sit, and they're not really always focused on the end solution. And so the first thing that we're going to be using Marketplace for is to collaborate internally on the journey of a customer and really meeting them where they are. You
Mhm.
know, we want to provide what we'll call multimodal access for our customers. If you think about it, think about the differences in the way that an automotive OEM, as an example, and maybe a med device customer use the same solution.
Mhm.
Traceability, track and trace, as an example. So we're going to, provide a mechanism for our customers to understand, here's a solution that addresses 60% of the predefined needs. And then we're going to go with our hyperscaler partners and our ISV partners to really make that solution fit the business outcomes and what the customer needs to, to have to get to the anticipated value. The biggest area of opportunity, I think, in addition to Marketplace, is how we collaborate between Wipro sales and our hyperscaler sales, such as
Mhm.
AWS. We are driving a lot of partner originated opportunities. And in many instances, AWS is committed to bringing opportunities, leads, and customers to Wipro as part of our strategic agreements.
Mhm.
To be able to streamline that process is exponential savings and time where we can really go and focus on building relationships with our customers, focusing our talent on continued innovation. If you think about where Wipro has been historically, we are a very technology forward company. We have an incredible amount of talent. I was just on a call earlier today. I mean, we have ambassadors that are working with our hyperscaler partners to help them change and evolve their service offerings. Stuff like that's very exciting. And, so we're really looking at the relationship with Workspan as a way for Wipro to make our biggest asset, which is our employees, more available to our partners and our customers. And then we're also really looking forward to insights. I think Marketplace has been around for a while, and I think it's really hard sometimes to gauge the value that your solutions are really bringing
Mhm.
and why customers are making a decision to buy or not to buy, and how we can use that data to refine offerings and improve processes. We're very, very excited about that. And we want to, see if we can employ Gen AI as part of that to constantly improve the customer experience. We know that the customers that are buying today are not going to be the customers that are making buying decisions tomorrow. And I think getting those data and insights as early on as we can really help us define what are the offerings that we're going to take to market, not just this year and next year, but 5 and 10 years from now.
No, that's amazing. That's amazing. And what a way to drive scale, but with agility and being data driven as well. And then how do you orchestrate your internal ecosystem with AWS or hyperscaler ecosystem, working very closely together around common customers, common opportunities, common accounts, and doing it in a real time basis. So such a great strategy, and then a shining example of how you are orchestrating this. One last question to round it off. I'm already getting an alert from my team that we are running out of time. But one final customer, more at a personal level, right? You've been an example of doing this. But for young people or people who are starting out uh, on ecosystem journey, or as partner professionals, or those who want to scale it from where they are today, what would be your top 2 or 3 advices or insights that you would love to offer?
I would say start with a customer. I think that many times, people have lots of great ideas, and there's a lot of innovation taking place, which is very exciting. And we need more young people and startup companies to get their innovative ideas out in the market. We have a venture part of our business that supports startup companies, Nirav, but you can't go and innovate in a vacuum and in a lab. You have to have a customer at the heart of everything, and they have to stay engaged along the way. You've got to have a real relationship so that they'll tell you, this is working, this isn't working, here's how we'd like to shape and shift this offering, and be able to do that. I think the second thing is you've got to really invest in your talent. That's the one thing that I'm so excited about at Wipro, is that we really are building a training and investment mentality, forcing 250, think about that, 250,000 people to really incorporate awareness of generative AI, how we need to use it in a responsible manner to do our jobs, serve our customers, protect our assets, help our employees. So I think investing in the talent and keeping that talent focused in the areas that they're most passionate about is really important. And then lastly, I would just say it's all about the ecosystem. Every day I feel like I've got 5 or 10 new ISVs and other great partners that want to work with Wipro. And because of some of the enablement things that WorkSpan's delivering, we're going to be able to say yes more. And I'm super excited about that. I want to do more for my customers every day.
That's such a great advice, and I love your point number one is you really being at the center with the customers. Sometimes partner professionals work in the shadows, but keeping customer at the heart or at the center of everything, and making sure that every action and strategy of yours is driving value to the customer. I think that's such a great advice, and thank you for leading the way, Andy. Appreciate you being here. Had a fascinating conversation. I know you're extremely accessible. So people in the audience, feel free to reach out to Andy. She is a great sponsor and champion of this community. So look forward to our future engagements, Andy, and look forward to working together as we scale our relationship as well. So
absolutely. Thank you for keeping us at the heart of what you all are doing. Really appreciate it.
That's been fantastic, Andy and Nirav. You asked one question, Nirav, right in the middle of the session. I think we got time just for maybe one question. There are a bunch of questions that have come in, but this one's from Greg Latto. Greg is alliance leader at Cell Data, and Greg asks, "How do you drive awareness of partnership value and the value of co-selling via WorkSpan to your practice leaders?" That's interesting. I've been working with your practices for 2 years and didn't know you were using WorkSpan. I know you're just getting started, so I'm sure that's but curious about how do you drive awareness of partnership value?
Well, the biggest thing is we try to treat our SMU leaders, our GBLs, as our customers. They are our customers. And so really understanding how we can make an impact in their business, and being very respectful of where they are in the relationships that they're trying to build with our customers. We get impatient as sales teams, and we want our priorities to be the top priorities. And it's not always about that. It's about, again, meeting our external customers where they are in the journey and helping build that trust so that, we're bringing the right things to the table at the right time. And I think that's, part of our relationships with how we're trying to articulate the value of the partnership team to our sales teams is we're here to help you. We're here to fill gaps, and we're here to help you be able to do more. The GAEs have an incredible task. They represent the entire portfolio at Wipro, and you just can't touch everything. So we want to have an understanding of priorities and be together as one team.
Fantastic.
So well said.
Andy, thank you so much for taking your time and sharing your insights and expertise. And Neera, great job moderating. And I think with that, we will start to move to the next. But first, before we bring in Stuart, I'm going to run one more quick video of some customers. So Andy and Neera, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Andy. Thank you.
Part of our rise to fame pretty quickly here at Deepwatch with the AWS ecosystem is absolutely leveraging a massive partner like Workspan today, right? We couldn't get to be where we needed to be without you guys. I'd have to hire 5 people just to keep up with the so many opportunities that we have. Just the weekly cadence of keeping that data clean and launching opportunities and all the other kind of stuff that goes through it. And it gets pretty complex really quickly. But again, having Workspan there, getting to leverage all the little ins and outs and things that I know how to, leverage ACE for our transparency, and using Workspan's ability to scale has really been a massive part of the, executing against the whole vision of me coming to Deepwatch to kind of execute against the aligned strategy and things that I wanted to accomplish here.
The winning qualities of Workspan, I know I listed many already, but it was not only, the native integrations you have with CRM tools, but it's also the network platform that you have. The fact that when we looked at our over 100 alliance partners, more than half of them were already on your platform. And that mattered to us. One, because the partners that we respect also have trusted Workspan for their activities, but also the fact that it would be just that much easier to use Workspan as a tool because half of our partners are already on it.
Workspan has been very critical for us, obviously, because the platform is monitoring and tracking all the business that we are doing. But most importantly, we also have the support of a sales desk. And so the sales desk are also regionally based. There are 5 people right now. We are looking at expanding that team. And essentially, they help us follow up and follow through the opportunities that we have tracked in Workspan together with the rest of the entities or companies that are participating in driving this deal.
Okay. All right. Stuart and Puneet, welcome. Welcome, Stuart.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Glad to have you here. And Puneet, our CEO and CFO, is I'm going to turn it over to you, Puneet, and let you introduce Francis, Stuart, and we'll get going.
Thanks, Chip.
Thanks,
hey, Stuart. Nice to see you again.
Thank you.
Stuart, let's start with the introductions for the audience. I know you, but I think it'll be good to have your introduction in your own words. For the audience, Stuart leads all the cloud ecosystems for MongoDB, and he leads partnerships for Microsoft, Amazon, as well as Google. Stuart, can you build upon that so that the audience know who they're listening to today?
Yeah, sure. So when I joined Mongo, which is a couple of years ago now, we had a small team that looked after all 3 clouds. That's now grown fairly considerably, and we've had to run, as opposed to being sort of a jack of all trades across the clouds, we're now specialized in particular cloud partnerships. So I've got a team for AWS and one for Azure, and then the GCP team is actually spinning up fairly fast at the moment. So there's going to be a new lead taking over that team. So all very exciting times.
Awesome. Thanks, Stuart. So let's dive into the question, Stuart. One of the things that we noticed that clearly you have come into that role and you're talking about how you have grown that partnership. I'm guessing the highlight of that was when you got mentioned in Ruba's keynote at reInvent at AWS. And what we have seen from our data, and you have validated that the co-sell opportunities have increased by 5x with AWS. That's quite an accomplishment for a short period of time. You said 2 years. How important is that relationship with AWS for you? And how important is that a critical growth vector for MongoDB? When you think about co-selling with AWS, what does that have an impact at MongoDB? So let's start at the high level.
Well, firstly, AWS is hugely important. They're our largest cloud provider. We obviously sell more with them, but we do more of everything with them from a sales perspective. As growth strategy, when we look at the clouds, they're all equally as important to us, and we provide parity across all clouds when it comes to rolling out new features, functions, because we want our customers to ultimately choose how they want to buy MongoDB, whether it's Atlas, so a self-managed, managed version, or Enterprise Advanced, which is self. But then we also want them to be able to migrate between clouds, or even have a multi-cloud strategy, so they can take advantage of how the corporate decision goes, whether they want to move or stick with one or sign new agreements. We can help facilitate all that. And then for your second point, from a co-sell, we know that if we get that right, and we can execute better, right? We sell better, and by that, what we mean is we can move at the customer's pace, which, as we all know in sales, so I was 15 years carrying a bag, that at the end of the day, if you're trying to push someone, they're not going to do it. They're not going to sign on the dotted line. So if we can work with our cloud partners to move at the pace the customer wants to do it, because they understand that the wider picture, as I was listening earlier to your other presenters around the larger strategy, and I think it was Julia from AWS pointing out as well, that if we can find that out from AWS and the other cloud providers, then it reduces that time to actually get a deal done, and we get the right deal done. But over what we've found over the last year, because we've changed our model to a consumption model, is educating the cloud provider on what that means to them, how it manifests itself in commission checks, right through to how senior leadership see it, has been very key. And so by using WorkSpan, we've been able to use the modeling this within the platform, and what we've been able to do with it within Salesforce to help us navigate that journey. So it's been really important.
So I think that's great insight. Like the cloud players we are finding in all our partner customer universe are very important as you grow sales, especially in this macro environment. And you, towards the end of that response, you started touching upon 2 points, which let's build upon that. One is, what were the steps that you took as you grew that relationship in the short span of 2 years and took it to the next level where you're now getting featured in that keynote? So what were the steps that you took? Because I think a lot of our audience are practitioners who want to learn those key steps and make sure that they're delivering on that strategy.
Well, I think it sort of comes down to, firstly, we signed a big commit with AWS going back 2 years now. So that puts us as a very important customer with them, not just an ISV, which kind of changes the dynamic a little bit. So we don't just get one team, we've got 2 teams, right? So we've got our account manager who looks after everything that we consume, everything that we want from AWS. But then we've also got that co-sell team. So we've got a global PDM, we've got regional PDMs, we've got co-sell leads. And I would say that team really sort of came together about 1.5 years ago. And so for this financial year, which kicked off Feb 1, we were kind of in our stride, and we're very comfortable with each other. So we understand each other's language. We understand how each other works, how fast we want to can move. And that's been really key, that we've had that stability in that team. And in fact, we met up in New York a couple of weeks ago to review the year. So it's really good opportunity to get everyone together. And I think that's been probably from a scaling perspective, that's been probably the thing that underpins everything we've done. Because we've had that stability, we've had that access to people, has really been very, very beneficial.
Okay, so if I had to framework it, it's basically putting together that strategy, making sure that both the parties are committed, and then building upon that in an offline and online nature, which is the offline part, which is the meetings, and the online part, and then putting that strategy all into motion. Is that an accurate framing?
Yeah. Yes, yes, right.
Okay, great. So, and then the second point that you started touching upon is, look, the offline part is great, the commit part is great, but then you need to make sure that you're orchestrating these partnerships with applications like Workspan. So if I have to switch gears now, we talked at the high level that it's important. We talked about the fact that how you're building it and now orchestrating it. So let's bring Workspan into the picture. How are you using Workspan? How is Workspan playing that critical role as you scale that partnership with Amazon?
So if we look at how we're going into next year, it's not just about us, it's about AWS as well. So we'll see much more around co-sell and a marketplace start to become more and more the same conversation over the next 12 months, or with the organizational structure changes that AWS have made. I think as reps sort of work out how they're going to get paid, and I think commission checks are, not too far away for many of them. They're starting to understand what's coming down the line. And we're using our network to find out what matters to the sellers in this world. And we use that information to sort of set the strategy with what we do with Workspan. So what I mean by that is we need to share the right information to engage with reps, to engage with leadership. And it's not just about sharing everything or putting any kind of information onto ACE, because that quite often doesn't work. They want certain information in certain fields at certain times, and that's where Workspan is really, really beneficial for us. And we're doing another review of what we've currently got and where we want to move for the next 12 months. So that's most probably, I'd say, our key thing we've got to do over the next couple of months is just readjust to how AWS are looking at things. But we are all in a marketplace. You can see all of our offerings are a marketplace. We know that if a customer goes onto marketplace, they have a better experience, they're more likely to buy. And we get great metrics from AWS about how a customer moves through AWS Marketplace as well. So that helps to influence our marketing, how we work together, where we can place our products where we want to appeal to. So it most probably is the most key channel to market going into next year.
Yeah. Again, amazing response. I think what I'm hearing from you is like Workspan is giving you that shared space and that system of record, which is clean, right? It's one thing about sharing data, but making sure that the data is clean, high quality, and you're putting the right checks and balances so that the Amazon PDM team and you both have a healthy kind of a book of business in the middle.
Absolutely.
I think moving a little bit away from Amazon, you have this unique perspective. You are in the multi-cloud universe, and you're saying Microsoft and Google are equally important. So let's spend a couple of minutes on that. If you think about you touched upon that response when you were giving your introduction. So how are Microsoft and Google playing that similar role that Amazon is playing in your ecosystem?
Yeah, and the cloud partnerships are most probably gaining in importance every quarter, right? So Atlas, which is our managed service on the cloud platforms, is the fastest growing area. So that therefore it is critical to our business. It becomes more critical to the cloud providers. It's not just about a co-sell for a partnership. It's about product development. It's about roadmap. It's about our access to a wider market. So the conversations we're having at the moment, as I've heard already on this call, is things around, for example, Gen AI. So we're developing our product with all the Gen AI tools. It opens up other conversations. It opens up other competencies. We want to be launch partners. All these sort of areas we are where we want to push, right? So yeah, they're all absolutely important to us. We don't we don't treat Azure or GCP any less than we do AWS. We want them to have healthy competition.
Sounds good. And then the last question I'll ask, and then I'll open up for audience questions. Seems like there's a healthy dialogue going on in the chat window. Is as you think about scaling, right? Workspan is playing that role for you. Thanks for your partnership in orchestrating all the three clouds. So not only in Amazon ecosystem, but Workspan is helping you with the Microsoft and Google ecosystems as well. So if you can expand on that how do we help you making sure that you're equally invested in all three clouds? Can you expand on that a little bit, Stuart?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, we're just in the process of rolling out for GCP. So we will have parity across all three. But that means that we can hold both our teams and their teams accountable using a level playing field, using the same metrics across each. And it's not necessarily really easy to do that when you've got three different portals that work in different ways using different data and metrics. So using Workspan, we'll be able to sort of normalize the data and see where we are, but also when we go into QBRs with the cloud providers, we'll be better informed about what we want to do and where we need to focus. We're also having a look into how other Workspan capabilities can help us. So I think others have mentioned about how you can partner with your other partners in the business as well. So we are looking at those sort of areas, how we can invest in areas where maybe we've built it ourselves in the past, being a very small organization, we'd say, but a very fast growing, where we can use Workspan's tooling that would build for now, but also for the future as well. So I would say that's most probably where we can, as I said before, we can have some parity across all three clouds, and that's going to be really, really important.
Yeah, I think that's great, Stuart. From what I have seen, and this is why I enjoy working with the MongoDB team, is you guys are so data focused, and we provide you that reporting and the data layer that makes you have these conversations in a very systematic manner, in a very organized manner. That look, this is the system of truth, this is the system of record. So let's have a conversation around the data, and then the subjectivity goes away. It all is a very objective conversation. So.
Absolutely.
Why don't we get some questions from the audience?
Yeah,
I think there's a lot of questions flowing.
Yeah, Stuart, thank you. I'm actually going to start with the question from Matt Beyer that you just answered. so I don't know that we need to go over it again, but just thought it was interesting that Matt says, and thank you, Matt, for the question. As you're tracking metrics, what are the most powerful internal metrics that you're looking at, and then how does Workspan help you assist in that? Are there any metrics that you didn't talk about?
No, so we've got metrics in our SCA that we have to meet. So using Workspan to track those is important, of course. Mm-hmm. But I would say if we want to move forward with how much revenue we're generating together, we're obviously as a software company, as a heavy PG company, as you must be aware, we use Medic, and we're part of that kind of ecosystem. So we're going to generate opportunity, right? That's a given. But we want opportunity from the cloud providers as well. We want them to be involved and invested in our success. So one of the key things we will look at is how much are they bringing to us, right? What they bring to us compared with what we're taking to them. We always know that we're going to take more to them, but also what they're bringing to us, that helps us to understand whether they understand what we are, where we fit as well. So it helps to drive enablement, helps to drive whether we need to do town halls, whether we need to go and do some more marketing in certain regions.
Terrific. I think that leads actually to another really great. This will be our last question in interest of time, but Chris Badger asks, this is a great question, right? Every partner wants to maximize AOs, right? AWS sourced opportunities. What has Mongo done to help prime the pump and motivate AWS Field to submit AOs?
So we have a dedicated team of specialist sellers, like an overlay sales team, that just focuses on AWS. And they are split up to cover various regions and various sales teams. And their role is to be that conduit to connect our sales teams with AWS teams and to create those relationships. If we can get into an AWS sales team to get 5 minutes to tell them who we are, how to work with us, then we'll take that opportunity. But having that dedicated team has been most probably the route to the 5x that Ruba alluded to.
It's awesome. Fantastic. Great. Well, Stuart, thank you so much. And Puneet, thank you as well. Puneet, I'm going to leave. You're going to stick around. And we're going to bring Masonia in. So, Stuart, thank you.
Thanks so much, Stuart.
Taking the time. It was fantastic.
Thank you.
Hey, Masonia, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. So, Puneet, you're sticking around. Ashish, introducing Ashish as well. So, Senior Director of Product Management at WorkSpan. Welcome, Ashish. And Masonia, Head of Partner Integration Engineering at AWS. Really excited for this session. I'm going to leave it to you guys to just take it from here.
Yeah, thanks, Chip. Masonia, thanks for coming. Really excited to have you here. I think sometimes people are talking about all the partnerships and they don't see the man or the woman behind the scenes who's making all of this possible, all this orchestration, all this tooling that is coming. That's amazing innovation that you have chartered and has come through AWS. So just to introduce Masonia to the audience, and then I'll turn it over to you to have your introduction in your own words. Masonia leads the partner engineering team at AWS. So she owns a lot of that interaction, a lot of that engineering at AWS. Masonia, how about you do a brief introduction for your role at AWS as well as what you have done in the past, and then we'll build upon the dialogue.
Yes. Hi, everybody. I'm Masonia Scott. I'm Head of Partner Integrations Engineering. So what I do is work across the engineering leadership team under Matt Yanchinson to understand the processes that our partners go through end to end, and then also our buyers. And then I also own a group that builds or enhances solutions to make it easier for our partners. But the most important role that I want to talk to you about today is my responsibility for partners like WorkSpan and ensuring that we're helping all of our partners scale throughout our global community. So I'm excited about that. So first, I want to thank WorkSpan for the opportunity. And I'd like to thank everybody on the call, all the partners of AWS on this call. You're the reason why I'm here, but you're also the reason why AWS is scaling. And so I'm very grateful to have that opportunity to say that.
Thank you, Masonia. That's very kind of you. I think we rely more on you than the other way around. So let's start with the dialogue, right? So you have a very interesting role at AWS. You drive innovation, you drive adoption for both co-sell and marketplace processes. And in the discussions in the past, you have given us a good level of insight on how that has been going. It would be great if you can give the same insight to the audience, and at a high level, if you can talk how AWS is helping the partner scale. We have seen a ton of innovation come through. What is in the roadmap coming for both co-sell and marketplace, and what has been delivered just at the 30,000 feet level?
Okay. I would say, I mean, if you're asking what we've done, and that there's three words and they sound the same. And it's called automation, 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 right? And the reason why I say that is, I'm an API first person, and that's what I bring to the leadership team for engineering under APO engineering. And so I truly believe you can't scale. A lot of our customers, before I joined the partner org, I did a lot of work within our cloud operations teams. And most partners and even customers see AWS as an account as break glass, right? And they use automation, whether it's through APIs or command line, to come into AWS. And so it's my mission to make sure we have that same kind of experience across partner services, which is Partner Central and ACE, as well as in Marketplace from that seller and buyer perspective. So we started that. So you heard the announcement where we now have APIs for sellers at AWS Marketplace. And we're going to continue to automate because that automation makes it easier for all of us, especially you as partners. Stop that swivel chair. I call it that robot, right? They're going from this platform to that platform. And, you know, I think it was Brett Fountain stated he didn't want to hire people. I don't want you to hire people either to have to do with that cold selling. And so, you know, having a partner like Workspace a lot to us of where we're going. In the future roadmap, how more can we automate in our different areas? You know, across our services with partner services and marketplace, that is our mission because, you know, we are going to continue to drive that. We also, we recently also did, you know, something, we streamlined our listing fees, right? That was effective in January 5th. So I'm sure people are smiling on this call and it was the right thing to do, you know. Our company's unique in making it easier and making it better for our partners and even our customers to do business with us. So we're going to continue with that. We just launched future data agreements, API, innovation and capabilities. So we're going to continue that and we won't stop until all of our platform and services have that capability. So that's the roadmap at a 30,000 level fee. Automate, automate, automate.
I think that's amazing, right? Like we have worked so long with all the three clouds and the leadership that you have taken, both in terms of business practices, which you were alluding to, in terms of like reducing that marketplace fees, and then making sure those business practices actually get implemented with the help of automation. That could be that 1-2 punch. I think that has been amazing to see, right? So we talked all about the good things. Let's talk a little bit about the challenges. What are the challenges that you face because you are bringing that innovation online so quickly, right? If you think about the data model changes, if you think about that marketplace changes, the future dated agreements, having service providers come in, there has been so much innovation that you have delivered. What are the challenges that you face, Masonia?
If I'm honest with you, we haven't done it fast enough. And I'm not trying to be, you know, I'm being honest. Just
I would just say that that was said in a true Amazon way, but
yeah, we haven't done it fast enough because it's one of those things that, you know, it's if you think about enterprises or partners or large GSIs and SIs that, you know, we heard from Andy on the call. I mean, everyone's used to automation and capabilities. It's been that norm. So what we need to do is make it faster. So that's the biggest challenge. The other thing is that, you know, every partner has their own way of doing business, right? And every way we have to go to that 80-20 rule, right? 80% of it. But we won't be able to get to every way of doing business, but we do need to account for the majority of the ways that different partners do business. So we need partners such as Workspan to help us scale in that, you know, that last mile concept. And that's that thing that we you know, is the biggest challenge of how can we get it, you know, to where our processes for co-sell are autopilot, and autopilot to me is automation, right? And then so that we can now focus on what is the strategic, those insights, you know, where should our partners be focusing doing business, you know, and what feedback should we be getting of how do we make our core, you know, not necessarily core service, just AWS services in general outside of marketplace available for partners and their customers and our global community to consume.
I think that's amazing. And you started touching upon onto my next question. So this will be a great segue, right? You want to run fast and you see a role for our Workspan. So what is that role from your perspective? What is the role from a partner perspective that you see? You touched upon it a little bit, which is that last mile, that postman role, connecting and taking that process to the last mile. So if you can expand on that, Masonia, that would be great. And give us that perspective, both from your Amazon seat as well as how the partner should think about it.
I would say it's end to end. I would say co-sell is one place, right? Then you go to procurement, right? But then even think about operations, right? And how do we figure out end to end? How do we make it easier for our partners and their customers to leverage AWS services and leverage the partnership? How do we build stronger trust and going through that process? And how do we use partners like yourself, Workspan, and hey, from that last mile perspective, this is what we can offer so that our partners can go focus on selling, right? That's what I want our partners to do. Focus on selling. So how do we make that easier? And how to, in every, you know, I'm looking at a niche right now, Ashish. how does his roadmap align to making sure that from that end-to-end perspective, we're meeting partners where they are to help their customers where they are?
That's a great response. And I'll build upon that. Ashish, I'll turn over the conversation to you as you wrap up with the set of questions. But Masonia has already brought you into the conversation. So go ahead.
Absolutely. Right. So I'll build on that. One of the things that we hear a lot in the conversations that we are having with our customers, Masonia, is partners who are working closely with AWS. How should they think about WorkSpan versus directly working with AWS, consuming the APIs and the partner processes that have been laid out?
I would say it's fit for purpose, but then also fit for speed, right? If you, depending on your size, if you need, a certain avenue direct, that's a choice. But however, if you need to go fast and quick, and if you need to leverage those capabilities and also that last mile innovation, then partners like WorkSpan, or let me stop saying partners like WorkSpan. I'm on y'all's call. WorkSpan is a great opportunity for you. Because of the fact that not only, I think there was a young lady that said that there were Deloitte, the VP at Deloitte, stating that, half of the partners she worked with were already using WorkSpan. So it's making global communities within global communities. And what does that create? That creates that synergy, right? And how does that scale fast? And then what can I take advantage of that? I can hear from WorkSpan, hey, these are the features that we need to move the needle so that we can help you guys scale faster. So it's a continuous circle that continues to help us all improve, right? So that's what I would say. Understanding that, understanding, the fit for use, the areas that AWS may not go into. Those are those reasons why I really feel that WorkSpan provides that, and I plan to continue to work with you, continue to raise the bar and give you guys expectations. I recall my meeting with Puneet at reInvent. I said, hey, Puneet, we go take some goals together because I want you to help me scale. And then I'm going to also tell you in front of your public, I want you to raise the bar with your product, because as you raise the bar, it helps our partners and it helps us all scale, right? So there's a dual expectation that we all improve and get better. So that's
absolutely. Ashish, before you chime into the next question, I think what you're saying is key, right? We are not only just accountable to our customers, we are also accountable to you, right? So that partner community that you have become kind of like our customers and our partners, because we are helping them expand.
Yeah, it's very important.
Yeah,
absolutely. And to pitch into that, what we are also doing is WorkSpan is acting as a conduit, because we have this tight integration and connection with you. We have bi-weekly meetings. We have collaborative inputs across each other. So we also have this unique ability to bring the partner's voice to you and your team, so that we can collaboratively increase the bar and raise the bar for everyone.
Yeah, WorkSpan gives it to me at that macro level. And then I also want to hear from the partners, because I'll tell you, when partners give feedback, I can't speak for everybody else, but I know I listen, and I know that 90% of our features are at AWS across our services are based on what matters the most. And, I can't say what it is I can just recall, advocating, hey, we need this because partner X, partner Z said we got to have this. And I'm making sure that it's going to be incorporated into our roadmap. So I really, encourage, that dialogue. I'm glad to have that relationship. Puneet said, I want to be a priority partner for you. And I said, yes, it's a part of my mission. It's part of my statement. So we'll keep that going. And then to the partners on the call, I'd also love to hear from you too. I will be at the Global Partner Summit in March. So if you're there and you see me, if you want to just, pull me, okay, don't yank me. Just say, hey, stop by. Let's have a conversation, because it's really that feedback is needed so that we know where we need to go and why. So I appreciate that.
Absolutely. And that brings me to my next question. So how do you see the AWS's relationship growing with WorkSpan in the future?
I think it becomes kind of like a circle, right? Where we're holding each other accountable to make partners better, right? Because I can't scale by myself. no matter what. I have limited resources, but you have a capacity. You have your own global community with this business summit. And so I need you to help me understand, what do partners need, right? And of course, I want to hear from them directly, but I want to see those trends, those common patterns. How do you guys help influence our roadmap, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then back to you and say, hey, okay, it's nice you're in these areas, but I need you to go to another area. What about cloud operations in the future? Those different types of things, because as people use our services, they have to be maintained and supported and things in that realm. So how do we get that end-to-end experience long-term for our partners?
Amazing. So why don't we bring Chip back in and have some questions from the partners? Masonia, obviously the voice of the partner, the voice of the customer is the loudest and the best voice. Chip, over to you for questions.
Yeah, Masonia, fantastic. Thank you, and Puneet and Ashish for moderating. Great conversation. Chris Badger again. Chris, great questions. So Chris asks, the co-sell and marketplace automations are fantastic. Any plans to automate co-marketing and lead sharing with partners?
I would say absolutely. Timing is the challenge, but absolutely, like I stated, it's our mission it's my mission to make sure end to end our capabilities that partner services and marketplace have is powered by automation. So yeah.
Terrific. Here's another question from Naomi Pope. How much are you involving partner developers in your API strategy? How do you gather input to make API improvements with each iteration? You just talked about getting feedback from WorkSpan and our customers. Any other sort of sources of?
Yeah, so we have launch partners, right, that held us to the fire. So for every in partner services space, as well as in marketplace, we have a growing feedback of a diverse group of partners that were served as launch partners and spoke even at reInvent for that. So when we launch those and do the iterations and how to make it easier, how to streamline it. The other thing we also did was build reference codes to kind of create use cases, especially with the marketplace, because marketplaces, it has different use cases. So how do we make that easier? So we did build a GitHub repository for reference codes based on feedback from partners that, hey, chain sets are great, but I'm used to CRUD, create, read, update, and delete. How can we make this streamlined and better? So yes, we do have that feedback. And if you're interested in getting involved in future ones, let me know and I'll pass it on to the appropriate product manager.
Terrific. One last question from Nirav. Thanks, Nirav, for chiming in. Could you share some success stories of how system integrators, solution providers, and channel partners are leveraging marketplaces and how marketplace integration with tools like WorkSpan can accelerate the motion for these partners? So it's kind of taking a services partner angle on things.
I would, Nirav, please don't get mad at me, but I'm going to say Andy's discussion probably was for Wipro was probably a prime example from a systems integrator perspective of using it and leveraging WorkSpan from it and those capabilities. So I would do that. Nirav, if you could send me an email, I could send you another list of names of different partners that are SI partners that have also leveraged it.
Fantastic.
I can think off the top, Deloitte is also one of them as well for marketplace.
Fantastic. Masonia, thank you for taking the time and spending time with us and our audience and sharing all the amazing things that AWS is doing to build integration and take the friction out, right?
Remove the friction. This is the year to me about impact based on what we've built. How can we scale faster? Truly grateful for the opportunity to come speak to WorkSpan as well as our beloved mutual partners who are doing great things for all of our mutual customers. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Masonia. Thanks for your partnership. It has been amazing. You guys are definitely the leaders in terms of what you do.
Thanks.
Absolutely.
Thank you, guys. Amit,
All right.
bring you in. Thanks, Puneet. Yeah, gosh, what a great EBS.
Yeah,
today.
great lineup. Good practical insights from everybody. Masonia, Stuart, we had Andy and Jack. I think we covered the spectrum all the way from leadership down to how do we make the API work. So let's do a quick recap. Yeah.
Yeah, starting off with Jack, I love that. Really started from a strategic standpoint, but then also like he's a practitioner as well. He's leading, so BCG is so impactful in terms of the research that they've done, but he's then applying it as for BCG partners as well.
Yeah. And this stat, like, how do we not become that stat of 85% companies actually failing in partnerships? I think what you don't measure and don't systemize and organize, you're likely going to fail. Failure to connect start ecosystem design to ecosystem execution, essentially. And I think automation is that key lever to drive that strategy and the execution pieces together, I think.
Yeah.
Right.
And Andy, I loved hearing from Andy. Again, she's really just a great practitioner, and I loved hearing how Workspan is helping her take the guesswork out of working with partners. But I also like we hear so much from ISVs, from software partners, but to hear from a global system integrator like Wipro is really exciting.
Yeah, fascinating how they are productizing them, right? They're behaving more like ISVs in this case. So they're packaging up. And with this endless aisle on the online marketplaces, you can put these packages and actually use the marketplace for transactions, both of your IP, but also now of services that we are seeing. So I think this big trend around services partners coming to marketplaces, services partners doing co-sell, services partners packaging their bespoke engagements into more repeatable services offerings is what we're going to see.
Yeah.
That's a harbinger of where services partners are going. And I think it's also very similar for the channel partners. As channel partners are evolving more towards last mile services, we'll see more channel partners productize and differentiate themselves as well.
Yeah.
So we should watch out for this trend this year.
Yeah, and then building it right into marketplace as well with CPPO and some of those kinds of capabilities, right? Enabling the channel partners to be a part of the transaction, because they are. I think early on with marketplaces, it was like, oh, what are channel partners? Where do channel partners play? They have a very important role to play.
Right.
Yeah. And Stuart, gosh, what an amazing story with MongoDB, and I love that that Ruba had Mongo up on the stage at reInvent last month, and what an incredible story. And we were proud to be part of that story and helping them grow their 5x their number of co-sell opportunities with AWS.
Yeah, what I liked about Stuart's session is that here's somebody who's already doing it and moving forward, but you notice that somebody who's really excelling at it, they are focused on the outcomes, right? So the conversation was more focused on outcomes in terms of what they've been able to drive with their consumption model, and they are better informed in their QBRs, as the quote says below, right? So the focus on measuring it and being precise about it. So I love the fact that they can actually stand before their leadership teams, their revenue teams, and show the contribution of partnership in actual numbers, right? So QBR.
Yeah. It's one of the things that I think I've heard Puneet say, many times, that in all their our dealings with MongoDB, they're very data driven.
Very data driven, yeah.
And so, yeah,
suits the company, right?
Yeah. And then Masonia, rounding it out with Masonia, gosh, I love her, energy and the way that she's, helping, her passion for partners, and I love this. We have 3 objectives. They sound similar: automation.
Yeah. Yeah. No, this is the age. We think partner automation is key to ecosystems succeeding, and no longer partnering leaders are like cobbler's kids without shoes. I feel like this is the era where CRM connection to Workspan's connection to AWS or Microsoft or Google, or to any partner, or a GSI partner like Wipro or a Deloitte or others, or an ISV partner like an SAP or a Cisco, right? And the idea of this stack that has emerged, like your CRM tools like Workspan, and then the other side on the other, whether it's ACE or Microsoft Partner Center, Google Partner Advantage, or a Partner CRM. This complete automation is what people are looking for now.
Yeah. Yeah, end to end, right? It
End
just
to end,
take
yeah.
the friction out and enable that chart that you showed is eye popping, right? I mean, as soon as you start automating, you can push, and it answers the question. I think it was Chris Badger asked, how do you get the hyperscaler's attention? You start pushing your opportunities over to the field, and you get
Exactly.
they see it, and then they're like, oh, well, next time they're like, oh, I know these guys now, and I'm going to send something their way, and you start getting it going in both directions.
One last comment from my side is I really saw the community get together network. People are, I'm sure, reaching out to Jack and Miss Sonia and Andy for their insights even beyond this session. I really think that's the power of this community getting together and getting amplified, right? So all for partnerships and partnerships for everybody, right? So.
Absolutely, just a great community, and I think Amit, you and I have had that as our passion from the beginning.
Steve is saying very good session, so thanks,
Yeah.
Steve Stein. He's awesome.
Yeah, thanks. Steve
Yeah.
Steinhilber. Okay,
Yeah.
great. Good. Well, I think we'll wrap with that, and Amit, thank you, and thanks to all of our guests for joining, and thank you all for joining as participants. So, and thanks for the great questions too. Amazing, great questions. All right, I think we'll wrap. Thanks, everybody. I appreciate